So now I'm going to discuss with you about the ecological pyramids. Now, ecological pyramids are related with the food chain, and in a food chain, we have seen that the number and the mass of the organisms in each step is limited by the amount of energy available. So the amount of energy when passed from one organism to the other organism, as a rule of 10% law that has been proposed by Linderman. That's why what happened, the number and the biomass or the organic matter of the organism remains limited. Now, since some of the energy that is by consuming the food, by consuming the matter present in the lower organism or lower trophic level, the higher trophic level, after consuming the food from the lower trophic level, they are some of the energy from the food get lost as heat, and it will be getting lost at each transformation when the food has been eaten from one trophic level by the higher trophic levels, and some of the energy will be lost as a result of the daily activities like respiration and other things. After subtracting all of these things, little amount of energy will be stored in our body, which will be further eaten by the higher order organisms, and they will get that little amount of energy. Okay, so since some of the energy is lost as heat in each transformation steps, the steps will eventually get smaller and smaller near the top consumer. So when the toppest consumer will consume the lower organisms, they will get that low amount of energy. So ultimately the number of organisms will be reduced. So let us move to the next thing. So what does ecological pyramid means actually? Ecological pyramids represents the trophic structure and the trophic function of the ecosystem. So the trophic structure, what is the level, what is the trophic level? Now up to 4 or highestly 5, okay, there may be trophic level, not more than that, because as a result of 10% law, we know that only 10% of the energy is utilized by the organisms of the high trophic level. Okay, now depending on what type of pyramids we are working on, there are three types of pyramids. Okay, one is called pyramids of number, pyramids of biomass, and pyramids of energy. Depending on that, the pyramids can be of inverted type, it may be of straight type also, we will see later on. So this ecological pyramid, generally what we know, the producers will be found at the base, at the bottom, while the successive trophic level, as it will go from higher trophic level, it will go to the top. Let us see. So this is a simple structure of ecological pyramid. This is actually a pyramid of energy that is transferring from autotrophs to heterotrophs. So the autotrophs are the producers, the plants, the some bacteria are also chemoautotrophs are there, which produce little amount of energy. Now these autotrophs are further eaten by heterotrophs, and thus you can see the energy get reduced, and eventually the number of organisms are also getting reduced. These are general structure of our ecological pyramid. Then these heterotrophs are further eaten by other heterotrophs, or you can say other consumers, called as secondary consumers. The first level of heterotrophs is called the primary consumers, or all the herbivores are the primary consumers. Then comes the carnivores, which are fall under the category of secondary consumers. So they are eating the herbivores. Okay, and thus much low amount of energy is transferred to these carnivores, to the secondary consumers. Then they are further eaten by some higher consumer level or other heterotrophic organisms, and as it passes on from one trophic level to other trophic level, the energy level get decreased. So eventually the number of population will also get reduced, right? Okay, so this is a general structure of a ecosystem, of a ecological pyramid. Now generally, if you see, there are different type of pyramids are there, okay, but if you see the communities of terrestrial ecosystem or shallow water ecosystem, they have a straight pyramid, gradual sloping pyramid, where the top consumers will be at the apex, at the top, and the producers will be at the extreme bottom, the base. Okay, so as the producers remain large, and they are characterized by accumulation of the organic matter. Now in case of aquatic ecosystem, we will see later on that in case of aquatic ecosystem like lakes or ponds or open sea, the primary production is quite low, and they are all concentrated on algae, and these microscopic algae have a short life cycle, they multiply rapidly, they accumulate a very little organic matter, and are heavily exploited by the zooplankton, which feed on these phytoplanktons of this microscopic algae. Okay, and that's why as they are producing a little organic matter, though they are huge in number, but still they are small organisms, so they contain a very little organic matter. So ultimately, if you consider the pyramid of biomass, not in the sense of pyramid of number, in the sense of pyramid of number, these autotrophic organisms found in the shallow water or in the seas are much more, but the organic matter or the biomass content in these organisms are quite low. So if you consider in the sense of pyramid of biomass how much organic matter contained in this phytoplankton, they are quite low, and that's why the pyramid of biomass in case of aquatic ecosystem will be of inverted type. Okay, so for these aquatic ecosystems, the base will be much smaller, okay, and then the structure that it supports. So you can see the pyramid of biomass I'm trying to show you. See the pyramid of biomass in aquatic ecosystem, where the producers are quite large in number, but they are all microscopic, and they have a very little organic matter or biomass present within them, which are further eaten by zooplankton. So ultimately, as they are storing a little organic matter but enough for the zooplanktons to be feeded, to get that food, the zooplanktons further store little more amount of organic matter, which are further eaten by the smaller fishes, and the smaller fishes are eaten by the carnivorous or large fishes. So ultimately, you can see, if you see the pyramid of biomass, it is in aquatic ecosystem it is inverted, because although the producers are large in number, but they are all microscopic, then they have a little organic matter contained in their body because they are small, and thus the producers from the inverted part of the pyramid, if you consider in case of pyramid of biomass, then they are further eaten by the zooplanktons, which are heterotrophs, they are depend on these phytoplanktons like algae, kelp, and thus they are storing little bit of more biomass within their body, so that they can be eaten by the other higher trophic level organisms like some smaller fishes. As you can see, I have written the number also, 8 gram per meter square, and then these smaller herbivorous fishes are further eaten by the carnivorous fishes or large fishes. So sometimes pyramids may be inverted in the sense. Now in the same thing, if you see in aquatic ecosystem, if you see the pyramid of number, then it will be upright. because the producers or the phytoplankton, although they are producing a little biomass, they are large in numbers, somehow about 100,000, right, in a particular area compared to the zooplankton or the smaller fishes. So that's why the producers in the aquatic ecosystem form the base of this pyramid. So see, on two aspects, if you consider in case of pyramid of biomass, they in aquatic ecosystem it is become inverted. In case of, if you want to see the pyramid, ecological pyramid in the sense of number, then it will be upright. Okay. I have said about the biomass. What does biomass mean? In all these lectures, I have said about the biomass and organic matter. Biomass is actually the total quantity of weight of organisms in a given area or volume. Now that biomass will contain that energy. Okay, how much energy is stored in that biomass? That also define the pyramids. Okay. So up to this, I think you have understood. Let us move to the next page. So let us see now the different type of pyramids which are normally used. The first is pyramid of numbers. It is very simple. You have to just see that how much numbers that particular trophic level contributes, and generally pyramid of numbers will be a what, simple form, upright and sloping. So pyramid of numbers is a graphic representation of the number of individuals per unit area at various trophic level. So pyramid of numbers is a graphical representation of the number of individuals that are occurring in per unit area at various trophic levels. This pyramid of numbers was advanced by Charles Elton in 1927, and he have found out that there is a great difference in the number of organisms in each step of the food chain. He have researched, he have surveyed various ecosystems, and he have found that at each level of the food chain, these tropical organisms vary in their number. The animals which are at the base of the pyramids are mostly abundant, mostly found. And which are the animals which are found at the base? All the producers. While the pyramid which is found at the top, apex, is the higher order organism or the higher trophic level, which are quite few in number. Okay, and that shows that as due to less amount of energy available, so the number of the topmost trophic level organisms will be low in number compared to the other trophic levels. So you can see the pyramid of number here. Here you can see the pyramid of number, 10,000 plants in a particular ecosystem, and where out of these plants somehow 10,000 caterpillars are depending on these plants. These caterpillars are further be eaten as a source of food by some blue tits. Blue tits are a type of small bird, and they are further can be eaten by higher order organisms like hawk. Okay, big bird, carnivorous bird. Now this pyramid of numbers, it shows the number of organism, but it does not shows the biomass of the organism. It does not mean that more number of organisms mean more biomass, as in case of aquatic ecosystems. In aquatic ecosystem there are huge number of kelps, algae, phytoplanktons, but as they are very small, a very minute amount of biomass is available in their body. So this pyramid of number is not showing the biomass of the organism, and it also does not indicate that how the energy is transferred or how the energy is utilized by the groups of that organism. So this is a simple form of pyramid, the pyramid of numbers. Let us see now the pyramid of biomass. What is biomass? I have already said with you, biomass is the total quantity of weight of the organisms in a given area or volume. So in a given area, what is the total quantity of weight of that organism? Okay, that will be called as biomass. Okay, like for instance, in a particular animal, suppose the flesh of that animal will be considered as the biomass. What amount of quantity of organic matter stored by that body, and that also related with the energy also, the energy that we will get by consuming that matter. So these biomass of the members of the food chain present at any one time forms the pyramid of biomass. So this biomass of the members of the food chain present at any one time forms the pyramid of biomass. Okay. Now this pyramid of biomass indicates a decrease of biomass in each trophic level from base to the apex. Sorry for that. Okay. So the pyramid of biomass indicates a decrease of biomass in each trophic level from base to the apex. So as I have mentioned that biomass is the total quantity of weight of the organism in a given area. So as the number of organisms at each succeeding trophic level decreases, eventually the biomass quantity will also getting decreased. But this is not always all the case, as in case of aquatic ecosystem, where we will see that the phytoplanktons are quite large in numbers, but they are very minute in structure, so they will store a little biomass in their body. But this is a general thing that a decrease in the number of successive trophic level organism in a given surface area will eventually lead to decreased biomass. So pyramid of biomass indicates a decrease of biomass in each trophic level from base to the top. Apex means top. For example, the total biomass of the producers, the total biomass present in the producers is quite more than the total biomass of the herbivores, and the herbivores are eating these producers. They need more food, so more producers will be needed, and more production means more biomass. Likewise, the primary carnivores, if you see the biomass of the primary carnivores, or you can say secondary consumer, they will eat the herbivores and they should be in large in number. So the biomass of the primary carnivores will be less than the biomass of the herbivores, and so on. But this is not always the case, as we have seen in aquatic ecosystem. Okay, in the left we show a pyramid of biomass, an upright pyramid of biomass in a terrestrial ecosystem, right? Whereas in the there is also a inverted pyramid of biomass in the right figure, which shows that in aquatic ecosystem like lakes and open seas, the primary production is dependent on this microscopic algae. Now these algae are quite short in structure, they are microscopic, they have a short life cycle, and then very little amount of organic matter is stored within their body. So that's why the pyramid of biomass in case of aquatic ecosystem is inverted. They are dependent on the zooplanktons. Zooplanktons are the short small herbivores which are dependent on this algae which are the producers, and they are using that matter within their body. Okay, now these herbivores, these zooplanktons are further eaten by the small fishes and then eventually eaten by the large fishes. In this way, the pyramid of biomass in aquatic ecosystem is quite inverted. Okay, now let us discuss about the pyramid of energy. Now what does pyramid of energy shows? Again, I am sorry. What does pyramid of energy shows? It is saying that when production is considered in terms of energy, suppose you want to show the ecological pyramid, the production of the biomass in forms of energy, then pyramid in this pyramid will indicate not only the amount of energy flow at each level, but more important, it plays an actual role in the various organisms play in the transfer of energy, how the organisms are transferring the energy. So the pyramid of energy not only indicates the amount of energy flowing at each tropic level, but more important, the actual role the various organisms play is the in the transfer of energy. Now the base of the pyramid of energy is constructed is the quantity of organisms produced per unit time. The base upon which your pyramid of energy is constructed is the how much quantity of organisms are producing per unit time, or in other words, what is the rate at which food material is passed in the food chain, through the food chain. Now some organisms have a small biomass, but the total energy that they assimilate is quite greater. It does not mean that more biomass means more energy. That means more food, particular food we are eating means more energy. Some organisms have a small biomass, as in the case of your microscopic algae in aquatic ecosystem, but the energy stored in that little biomass is quite enough for the higher trophic levels to survive, to assimilate. So that's why it is saying that some organisms may have a small biomass, but the total energy that they are assimilating using them in their body and passed on may be quite greater than the organism with a larger biomass. For instance, if you compare 1 kg of meat of a goat or of a chicken compared to 1 kg of a soybean, then you will see that the 1 kg of soybean seeds have a quite greater energy content compared to that 1 kg of meat respectively. So in this way, that some organisms may have a small biomass, but the total energy that they are being used by the consumers and passed it on will be much greater than that of organisms with a larger biomass. Now so this is saying, I have said in these words. Now each energy pyramids are always sloping. Energy pyramids are not inverted. You will see in all the cases the pyramid of energy will be always sloping, because less energy will be transferred from each level was paid into it. So when energy is transferred from the succeeding trophic level, less energy is available, and that's why your pyramid of energy will be always inverted. Okay. Let us move to the next page. So I have tried to show you, try to say with you that less biomass does not means less energy. Sometimes less biomass contain much more amount of energy, as in case of aquatic ecosystem. In open water communities, the producers produce less biomass than the consumers, but the energy that they are storing and they are passing on must be greater to the next level. Otherwise, the food chain system will not survive. It will be collapsed. Okay, so that's why it is needed to store more energy. Okay, if less biomass is available in the food chain, that less biomass should contain more energy, so that they can be utilized by the next successive trophic levels organisms. So this is the pyramid of energy, where you can see the producers about 10,000 kilocalorie energy are prepared. Although the producers may be quite low, the biomass content made by the producers are quite low, but still they are producing so much amount of energy which are utilized by the primary consumers. They are using 10,000 kilocalorie, because as a result we know that most of the energy is lost as heat. Very little amount of energy, about 10% of the energy is stored by the primary consumers, and similarly so on. The primary consumers, when they are further eaten by the consumed by the secondary consumers, they are receiving much less amount of energy, about 100 kilocalorie, and further the secondary consumers further be consumed by the tertiary, the topmost level consumer. They are ending up with only 10 kilocalories of energy storing within their body. So the pyramid of energy will be always upright. It will be always a sloping pyramid. There will be no inverted pyramid. The pyramid of biomass may be inverted. The pyramid of numbers sometimes may be inverted also, as if you considered a tree. Okay, in a tree, it consists of many organisms. Some are parasitic organisms that are living within the higher order organisms. So in that level, if you see the pyramid of numbers, then pyramid of numbers can be inverted as well. And pyramid of biomass sometimes is inverted, as we have seen in aquatic ecosystems, but pyramid of energy will be always upright in all the case. Okay, now what are the limitations of these pyramids? Two limitations have been found out. I have find out the what are the limitations of this pyramid. First limitation is that these ecological pyramids does not take into account the same species belonging to two or more trophic level. Now food chain does not means that particular organism will be remaining in that same trophic level. As a result of food web, you have seen that as a result of food web, a particular species may be behaving one or two more trophic levels. Okay, so that does not showing by the ecological pyramid. So ecological pyramid does not take into account the same species which are belonging to two or more trophic levels. This is just assume a simple food chain, whereas in nature it does not exist. It is not existing this like this. Okay, that a particular trophic level organism will eat that animally only. Okay, it can switch on to other things also, right, and behave as another trophic level also. Okay, second is there is no place for the detrivores. If you see carefully, no decomposer organisms has been mentioned here. Only the grazing animals, the grazing food chains has been mentioned. So there is no place for detrivores, there is no place for decomposers in these ecological pyramids, though they play an important part in ecosystem. We know that detrivores are quite important organisms which contribute in our ecosystem, maintaining the balance of nutrients in the ecosystem, but here in ecological pyramid they have not been mentioned here. So that is the second limitation. And the first limitation is, I have said that this ecological pyramid does not showing the same species belonging to more than one trophic level, because that same species may behave as a result of food web. As a result of food web, they can behave in the same trophic level. Okay, in different trophic levels. Okay, so this was all about the food chain. Okay, in the next video I will try to discuss with about the ecological succession. Well, the nutrient cycle I will also discuss with you in a separate video. Okay.